Two people, same neighborhood, same route, same pace, same number of steps on their watch every single morning. 2 months later, one of them has a noticeably slimmer waist, clothes fitting differently, something visibly changing around the abdomen. The other person feels healthier, sleeps better, but the belly? Exactly the same. Neither one changed their diet. Neither one walked harder or longer. So what happened? The answer has nothing to do with willpower, metabolism types, or genetics. It has everything to do with one thing: whether their body ever switched fuel modes during the walk. And the brutal truth is, most people who walk daily for fat loss never trigger this switch. Not once. They burn calories, yes, but they burn the wrong fuel. And they go home wondering why nothing is changing. Today we're breaking down the exact science of why your walk might not be burning fat, and precisely how to fix it. No gimmicks. No extreme changes. Just the biology your body is waiting for you to understand. Part 1. Your body has two fuel systems, and it always picks the wrong one first. Here's something most fitness content completely skips over. Your body doesn't run on a single fuel. It runs on two entirely different energy systems, and it has very specific rules about which one it uses and when. System 1. Fast fuel. This is glucose circulating in your bloodstream right now, plus glycogen, the stored carbohydrate packed inside your muscle tissue. This fuel is fast, easy to access, and requires minimal processing. Your body loves it because it's immediately available. System 2. Stored fuel. This is body fat, the triglycerides locked inside your fat cells, including that stubborn visceral fat around your organs and the subcutaneous fat under your skin. This fuel is abundant, but slow. Accessing it requires a multi-step biochemical process that takes time and the right internal conditions. Here's the critical point that changes everything. When you start walking, your body does not reach for fat first. It reaches for whatever is fastest and easiest. Blood glucose, muscle glycogen. Done. Fat is only accessed when the body determines that the fast fuel is running low and that the demand for energy is going to continue. Until both of those conditions are met, your body simply doesn't bother unlocking the fat stores. This is why two people can walk identical routes, burn identical calories on their fitness trackers, and have completely different fat loss outcomes. Step counters measure motion. They do not measure metabolism. Calorie burn and fat burn are not the same thing. Understanding this one distinction is the foundation of everything that follows. Part 2. The biochemistry of the switch. What has to happen inside your body? This is where it gets fascinating, and where most people's understanding completely breaks down. When you begin walking, your muscles start consuming glucose. If you've eaten in the last few hours, insulin is still circulating in your bloodstream. And insulin, the storage hormone, has a very specific effect. It actively suppresses fat release. While insulin is present and glucose is available, your body has zero metabolic reason to start breaking down fat. Everything it needs is already in circulation. Fat stays locked. But as you continue walking steadily, something begins to shift. Blood glucose slowly declines. Insulin levels start to fall. Your body senses that the easy fuel is being used up, and the demand isn't stopping. In response, a counter hormone called glucagon begins to rise, signaling that internal energy reserves may be needed. Simultaneously, mild increases in adrenaline begin encouraging fat cells to release their stored contents. An enzyme called hormone-sensitive lipase activates inside fat cells. This enzyme physically breaks stored triglycerides apart into free fatty acids, releasing them into the bloodstream. But even now, the fat isn't being burned yet. Those free fatty acids still have to travel through the blood, enter muscle cells, and be transported into the mitochondria through a system that depends on a compound called carnitine. Only once inside the mitochondria does beta-oxidation begin, the actual process of converting fatty acids into usable cellular energy. This entire sequence, from start walking to actually burning stored fat, takes time. It requires stable, continuous, oxygen-supported activity. The body needs to be convinced that the demand is real and sustained before it commits to this slower pathway. Fat burning is not a reaction. It's a coordinated metabolic decision. and your body only makes that decision under specific conditions. Part 3. Why interruptions are silently destroying your fat-burning potential. This is the part that explains why so many people walk regularly and see almost no body composition changes. Imagine you've been walking for 15 minutes. Your blood glucose is slowly dropping. Insulin is declining. The early hormonal signals toward fat release are beginning to form. Your body is getting close to making the switch. Then you stop to check your phone. Or you pause at a traffic light for 2 minutes. Or you slow to a near stop to look at something. Your heart rate drops. Your breathing normalizes completely. Your body's internal sensors register. Demand has ended. And just like that, the process resets. Your metabolism returns to its default assumption: short-term movement, quick fuel, no need to access reserves. The glucagon signal weakens. Hormone-sensitive lipase activity drops. The free fatty acids that were beginning to mobilize get reabsorbed. When you start moving again, you're essentially starting from zero. The body begins the whole sequence again from the beginning. This is why a 45-minute walk with constant interruptions can produce dramatically less fat oxidation than a smooth, uninterrupted 30-minute walk. The clock on your watch keeps running, but your metabolism keeps resetting. Continuity isn't just helpful for fat burning. Continuity is the mechanism of fat burning. Part 4. Zone 2. The pace that makes everything work. Here's where most people make their second major mistake: thinking that walking faster means burning more fat. It sounds logical. More effort, more energy, more fat burned. But the biology works in the opposite direction. When you push your pace too hard, when breathing becomes labored, when you can no longer speak comfortably, your body shifts into a different energy gear. Glycolysis dominates. Your cells switch to rapid glucose processing because it's the only system fast enough to keep up with the high demand. Fat oxidation actually decreases at high intensities, even though total calorie burn increases. You're working harder and burning less fat. The energy is coming from glucose and glycogen instead. The optimal pace for fat burning has a name: Zone 2. Zone 2 is that pace where you feel like you're genuinely moving, not strolling, but you can hold a full conversation without gasping between words. Fitness professionals call this the talk test. Your breathing is noticeably deeper than at rest, but it's rhythmic and controlled. At this intensity, oxygen delivery perfectly matches muscular demand. Your aerobic metabolism is fully engaged, and critically, your body is operating in the exact conditions that support fat oxidation as the primary fuel source. The calmness of Zone 2 isn't a sign that you're not working hard enough. It's the physiological signature that the fat-burning switch has been engaged. Slower than Zone 2, the stimulus may be too mild to drive meaningful fat oxidation. Faster than Zone 2, glucose takes over and fat oxidation drops. Zone 2 is the target, not a consolation prize for people who can't walk fast, the actual metabolic sweet spot. Part 5. The timing factor. When you walk matters more than you think. Here's a variable that almost nobody considers, and it makes a significant difference to fat oxidation. Insulin levels at the start of your walk determine how quickly the fat-burning switch can engage. If you walk 30 minutes after a large meal, insulin is elevated. Fat release is suppressed from the first step. Your body has plenty of incoming glucose to work with. The switch to fat oxidation, even if you walk continuously at Zone 2, will take considerably longer to occur, if it occurs at all during that session. But if you walk before your first meal of the day, or several hours after your last meal, insulin is at its lowest baseline level. The hormonal environment is already partially set up for fat release before you even take your first step. The switch happens faster. Fat oxidation begins earlier in the walk, and more of your total walking time is spent in fat-burning mode. This doesn't mean fasted walking is mandatory, or that post-meal walks have no value. Post-meal walking has excellent benefits for blood sugar regulation and digestion. But if your specific goal is maximizing fat oxidation per walking session, timing your walks to lower insulin windows gives your metabolism a meaningful head start. Part 6. The consistency advantage. Why repeated walks reshape your metabolism. One walk, even a perfect one, changes very little. But here's what happens when you repeat structured walking consistently over weeks. Your metabolism learns. When your brain detects a reliable pattern, the same time of day, the same type of steady movement, day after day, it begins preparing for it in advance. Hormones start shifting before you even put your shoes on. Fat release begins earlier in each session because your body anticipates the demand. This is called circadian metabolic entrainment, your body's internal clock synchronizing with your behavioral patterns. And it fundamentally changes how efficiently your body accesses stored fat. Additionally, consistent fat oxidation trains the metabolic machinery itself. The enzymes involved in beta oxidation become more abundant. Mitochondria in your muscle cells multiply and become more efficient. Your muscles develop a greater capacity to use fat as fuel. The result? Over weeks of consistent structured walking, you become metabolically flexible, meaning your body transitions from glucose to fat quickly and smoothly, without the hesitation or delay that characterize the early sessions. Your hunger patterns stabilize. You stop experiencing sharp energy crashes between meals because your body can seamlessly pull from fat reserves instead of desperately waiting for the next glucose hit. Your energy throughout the day becomes noticeably smoother. These metabolic changes appear before the visual changes. The mirror changes last. The metabolism changes first. Most people give up during the gap, right before the results become visible. Part 7. The 14-day experiment. A practical protocol to trigger the switch. Understanding the science is one thing. Applying it is another. Here's a simple, specific protocol built entirely around what we've discussed. For the next 14 days, walk once daily for 30 to 45 minutes. Not longer, not harder, just consistent. Choose a fixed time. Morning before breakfast is ideal for fat oxidation, but the best time is whatever time you can actually maintain every day. Consistency beats optimal timing every time. Walk at a pace where you can speak in full sentences, but where your breathing is noticeably deeper than at rest. If you can sing comfortably, you're too slow. If you can't finish a sentence without pausing for breath, you're too fast. Find the middle and stay there. Do not stop unless absolutely necessary. At traffic lights, slow down but keep moving your feet. At hills, reduce pace but maintain motion. The continuity is the point. Protect it. Wait at least 2 hours after eating before walking, or walk before your first meal if possible. Give insulin time to settle so fat release isn't suppressed from the start. Do not track speed or step count during these 14 days. Instead, track one thing. Did you complete the walk without major interruptions? That's the only metric that matters for the metabolic goal. During the 2 weeks, pay attention to subtle signals your body sends. Does your hunger between meals feel calmer and more predictable? Is your afternoon energy more stable? Do you feel less urgency to snack after the walk? These are early signs that your metabolism is shifting, that your body is beginning to rely on stored fat as a routine fuel source, rather than treating it as a protected emergency reserve. The scale may not move dramatically in 14 days. That's normal and expected. What you are changing first is fuel preference, not body weight. As the body becomes more comfortable using stored energy, visible body composition changes follow. The fat doesn't disappear in 2 weeks, but the metabolic behavior that leads to fat loss, that begins shifting almost immediately. Closing. You're not walking wrong, you're walking uninformed. The people who walk for months without seeing belly fat change aren't lazy. They're not broken. Their metabolism isn't damaged. They're simply walking in a way that never triggers the switch. They stop too soon. They interrupt too often. They walk too fast or too slow. They walk right after meals when insulin is high. They vary their schedule too much for circadian entrainment to take hold. And because nobody explained the actual biology, they assumed the walk wasn't working. They assumed they needed to walk faster, or longer, or add extra exercises. Some gave up entirely. But the fix isn't more effort. The fix is understanding what your metabolism is waiting for, and giving it exactly that. Steady, continuous, conversational pace, low insulin window, consistent timing, enough duration for the switch to engage and stay engaged. That's it. That's the entire formula. Not complicated, not extreme, just aligned with how your body actually works. Your walk was never the problem. It was always the missing instruction manual. Now you have it. Use it. If this finally explains something you've been confused about for a long time, hit like, subscribe, and share this with someone who's been walking daily but still can't figure out why the belly fat isn't moving. Drop a comment below. Are you going to try the 14-day experiment? Let me know.